Why it's terrible to own a Porsche 911 Turbo. You just signed a check for $220,000 as if you were paying for coffee. The salesman at the Porsche dealership in Manhattan hands over the keys and your heart races. Congratulations, you just spent the equivalent of a house in Texas on a piece of German metal that will depreciate faster than a smartphone on clearance. What a tragedy. The roar of 650 horsepower makes your chest vibrate when you start the engine for the first time. Unfortunately, it also vibrates the bodies of other dealership customers who now look at you with a mixture of envy and judgment. Great, now you have an audience. As if the pressure of driving a car that costs more than most people's mortgages wasn't enough. The salesman kindly explains the 78 buttons on the dashboard, but all you can think about is how it'll take 3 weeks to figure out how to adjust the seat. A terrible problem when you have $17,000 German leather caressing your back. You sign the final papers and realize you just added monthly insurance that costs more than your first apartment's rent. Driving out of the dealership is your first test. The car is lower than a rookie comedian's self-esteem, and you need to navigate Manhattan's potholed streets as if you were defusing a bomb. Each speed bump is a potential $18,000 disaster for your carbon fiber bumper. Your Porsche now occupies a garage spot that previously accommodated your Prius and all your tools. Now your tools need to stay in the hallway like second-class citizens. The sacrifices we make for these cars, right? The first time you really accelerate is when the true tragedy begins. 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds. The problem, your head being pushed against the headrest with a force that would make a NASA astronaut jealous. Your vision blurs, and you can't even appreciate the involuntary smile that appears. It's like being launched by a giant slingshot, only with air conditioning and Bose sound. Finding a place to test your Porsche's limits is another existential drama. American roads have this little inconvenience called speed limits. So you have 650 horsepower contained, like having Thor Odinson working as a librarian. All that German power reduced to crawling at 75 miles per hour on Interstate 95. Your first trip to Whole Foods is traumatic. The front trunk, because of course your engine is in the rear like any normal car, can accommodate exactly 2 bags of organic groceries that cost the same as a full dinner. You need to choose between taking the organic avocado or the gluten-free bread. Impossible decisions. Leaving the condo parking lot every morning is like participating in a covert mission. Don't wake the neighbors, you think, while trying to quietly start a car specifically designed to make noise. It's like trying to make a baby dragon not breathe fire when it sneezes. Getting gas is humiliating. While other drivers fill their tanks with regular gasoline, you need to select premium like some kind of aristocrat. Look at me. My car only accepts the finest fuel. And when the display reads $85 to fill the tank, you pretend it's normal, as if you couldn't feed a family for a week with that amount. Navigation apps become your enemies. Waze insists on sending you through streets with speed bumps that are minefields for your nearly ground-scraping bumper. Your Porsche has less ground clearance than a New Yorker's patience, and each driveway entrance is an adventure in advanced trigonometry. You need to approach each one at a 45-degree angle, as if you were piloting the Millennium Falcon trying to enter the Death Star. The engine sound is so powerful you can't even hear your music on the $12,000 Bang & Olufsen audio system. It's like having the world's best home theater installed next to a runway. Parking would test a Buddhist monk's patience. Each maneuver is calculated with the precision of heart surgery. You refuse to leave your precious 911 in public parking lots, because obviously the doors will be dented by some random Honda. So you drive for another 30 minutes looking for a street spot visible from the restaurant window. The food is already cold when you reach the table. The first service arrives faster than a card notification after a suspicious purchase. Sir, it's only $2,500 for the 5,000-mile maintenance. The mechanic says this so naturally you almost expect him to ask for your kidney as alternative payment. The oil change isn't just an oil change. It's a ritual that costs the equivalent of 3 months at a premium gym. You need to schedule 2 weeks in advance and leave the car all day at the dealership like a child on the first day of school. Meanwhile, you get a Porsche Macan as courtesy. What humiliation having to drive a regular SUV for an entire day. You know your mechanic more intimately than your doctor. He knows exactly how much torque each bolt in your car needs, while your doctor barely remembers your name. The Porsche technician sends you messages asking how the car is feeling, as if your 911 were a living being. And the worst part is you respond in detail, because somehow you also started believing the car has feelings. Replacement parts are absurd. A broken side mirror, $3,000. A scratch on the bumper, $7,000 to repaint properly. It's as if every inch of your car were made of melted gold and unicorn tears. Parking in front of anywhere in Los Angeles is like announcing your arrival with fireworks. Look everyone, a person with money just arrived. Everyone forms opinions about you based entirely on your car. Valets fight for the honor of parking your Porsche as if it were the last slice of pizza at a party. You hand over the keys trying to look casual as if you weren't handing over the equivalent of a year's rent to a stranger. Careful with the clutch, you say, as if the guy had never seen a pedal in his life. At gas stations, random people start conversations about specifications you barely know. Is it the model with the Sport Chrono package? A stranger asks while you try to remember what the hell Sport Chrono is and whether your car has it. You nod, feeling like an imposter in the sports car world. Family gatherings are worse. Your uncle always asks how much it costs, no matter how many times you change the subject. Your cousin asks for photos inside the car for Instagram, and your 5-year-old nephew touches the vehicle with chocolate-covered hands. You smile through the pain, watching small, sticky fingerprints decorate your hand-stitched leather interior. Long trips are another test. Those sport seats, designed for high-speed curves, transform into torture instruments after 300 miles. It's like sitting on a wooden bench carved by someone who hates comfort. Your spine begs for mercy while you maintain a fake smile, insisting that the driving experience is worth it. Luggage for a Hamptons weekend needs to be organized like a professional Tetris game. You brought only the essentials in flexible bags that can be squeezed into the tiny trunk. Your partner gives you that "I told you so" look while you explain that nobody needs more than 2 pairs of shoes for a weekend. At hotels, the valet puts your Porsche in front like a museum exhibit next to other supercars. You feel in an unspoken competition of who has the flashiest car. And when a Lamborghini parks next to you, you feel inadequate, as if you only brought a lightsaber to a Death Star battle. Every noise in the car becomes cause for panic. Was that a normal suspension pop, or the sound of $5,000 being drained from your account? You spend nights on Porsche forums, searching for other owners who might have heard that mysterious ticking that only appears at 63 miles per hour. Then that fateful day arrives. At a red light on Rodeo Drive, you hear the roar of an even more powerful engine. You look to the side and see the new GT3 RS with its larger air intakes and rear wing that looks stolen from a fighter jet. Suddenly, your turbo seems so last year, as if you were driving a wagon. Porsche launches a new model every 3 months, apparently with the sole purpose of making you question your choices. The salesman you considered a friend sends you an email. Thought of you when I saw the new limited model. Translation: your car is already obsolete and we have something even more expensive for you to spend your money on. You read automotive magazines like religious texts, looking for validation that your 911 turbo is still relevant. At least mine has more torque, you mutter to yourself, as if it mattered when you're stuck in 405 freeway traffic, moving at 5 miles per hour. Software updates are another irritation. Your car needs updates like an iPhone, and each visit to the dealership for just a quick update somehow turns into a $900 bill. We found some other things that needed attention, says the advisor with a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. And so goes life with your Porsche 911 Turbo. You spend more time cleaning, worrying about, and talking about it than actually driving. It's like having a troubled child made of German metal that consumes your time, money, and mental space. You meet other Porsche owners and exchange suffering stories like war veterans. My bumper scraped on the garage entrance, one of them says with the gravity of someone announcing a terminal illness. You nod in solidarity. People will never understand your suffering. They look at you in your gleaming Porsche and think, what an easy life. Little do they know about the sleepless nights, worrying about scratches, the stress of finding safe parking, and the drama of deciding whether to use the car on rainy days. In the end, owning a Porsche 911 Turbo is one of the greatest modern ordeals. You have a vehicle that accelerates faster than an enterprise transporter, costs more than a college education, requires maintenance as if it were made of crystal, and makes everyone judge you instantly. But even with all these problems, on that Sunday morning when the streets are empty and the sun has barely begun to rise, you find yourself grabbing the keys. The roar of the twin-turbo flat 6 engine awakens your soul, and for a moment all the problems disappear, until you remember you need to refuel again, and that's how another day ends in the tragic life of a Porsche owner. See you in the next video for more luxury suffering.